Hey guys, welcome to Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God. I'm Sarah. I'm married to Mark. We have a total of 10 kids, but 8 at home. And I'm answering a question today that was asked by one of our viewers in a YouTube comment. And I don't know the person who asked this question. I'm not sure if they were asking it with good intentions, bad intentions. A lot of times I'll just answer these questions in the comments, but I felt like this needed a little more of an answer. So the person was asking me that because of the issues that we have here in our home with having a few kids with special needs and my husband also having special needs, wouldn't it be more appropriate or more beneficial for our child, our special needs child, to be put in a school program where they would get the help of a special needs teacher who has been trained to work with special needs students? And I have a few different answers for that. My answer is no, it would not be more beneficial or more practical for our family for that to happen. And I will explain why those things are. So if you haven't been here before, we have one child who has cerebral palsy and epilepsy. He is 12 years old. He functions like a lot of children in daily activities, such as he's able to run in the yard with the kids. He uses the bathroom himself with us being aware because he has seizures, but he can do the bathroom tasks by himself. He does schoolwork at his level. He eats food himself. So like not medically complex in day-to-day living. I don't have like medications to give. We don't have like a wheelchair bound child. But it does affect us on a daily basis. If he's having seizures, we a lot of times have to cancel something we're going to because he gets very tired and lethargic after that happens. But in the day-to-day, we are able to just have, do our normal stuff with everybody else. I'm going to turn the camera because I just realized like the lighting is really weird in the room right now because it's like gray and cloudy outside. So anyway, we homeschool. We have homeschooled for about 22 years now. It's been a long time. And the reason we started homeschooling was actually because of a special needs issue. Our oldest son, I don't talk about him a lot here on the channel because he doesn't live here at home anymore, but this is very relevant to the conversation. Our oldest son was having issues with hearing. And we found out that the issues were because he needed adenoids removed, and the doctors did not mention that until we went to get his 4th set of tubes. But because of his troubles hearing, he couldn't learn to read. When you can't hear what people are saying, it is hard to learn to read. If you don't hear a d sound, then you don't know that's what the letter D says. You're just guessing. And he was trying really hard to keep up with his class, but he just could not hear the teacher. And because we didn't know he couldn't hear, we didn't have IEP like exceptions for him. It's not the right word. I don't remember. We don't have IEPs because we homeschool, but accommodations. We didn't have IEP accommodations for him because we didn't know. Had we known at the time, we would have tried to place him closer to the front of the class. We would have tried to ask the teacher to look at him. I now know what we would have done in that situation, but because we didn't know that he was actually, they told us he was going deaf, and they didn't give us these options. I would fight differently for him, in public school probably if I knew this. But when my husband and I got married, this son was going into 1st grade. That first year of school, I was trying to help him at home. I had gone for 1 year of special education at college, and I knew a little bit about how to help a child. I had worked also through all my high school. I had worked during my study hall times in a special needs classroom. So I had been helping a teacher teach reading, teach math, all of those things. So I was like, we got to the end of 1st grade. Oh, sorry. While he's still in 1st grade, I was helping after school. We would read books together. And because he'd sit next to me on the couch, he could hear me fine and he could comprehend the story that I was telling. So when I'm talking to the teachers at school and they're saying he doesn't have comprehension skills, I was saying, yes, he does. We're reading Charlotte's Web at home and he can tell me what the story is. He can tell you who the characters are. He knows the basic points that are happening. And again, this was first grade. So I was trying to do what the teachers at the school were asking for homework. He was getting taken out of a lot of classes to go into like one-on-one classes to do the reading, but he still couldn't hear, so they still can't teach him to read because he can't hear the sounds. He also at this point had been in speech therapy because he's not making the sounds properly because he can't hear them. So again, this all had to revolve around his hearing being a special needs problem. He does not have that problem anymore, but that was our situation at the time. When he got done with first grade, he's about to start second, and we realize he can't read even at the end of a kindergarten level because he can't see that C-A-T says k-at. He doesn't know those sounds. So I decided we'll keep him home for 1 year. We'll get him caught up. I saw that at the school, he kept getting taken out of the regular classes. And I say that in like, he'd get taken out of history time to go do reading time with a specialist. So when I was in school, I remember like we had different reading classes. All the reading classes were at the same time, but if you were this reading level, you went to this classroom. If you were this reading level, you went to this classroom. But he was getting taken out of the other subjects. So now he's just getting more behind in everything because he's being taken out for these classes. And I decided, let's keep him home. Let's get him caught up. I mean, this was with Mark also, but I was the one who was going to be doing the teaching because at that time Mark was working. Let's get him caught up and then we'll send him back to school. Well, we realized that a lot of the things that they were doing to try to get him caught up were not actually addressing the problem, and he wasn't getting any closer to reading. During this time, I don't remember exactly when, but we also got his adenoids out after we had started homeschooling, and he could now hear and he can read because he can hear. So that started our journey of starting to homeschool. I don't know that I personally would have started homeschooling for biblical reasons or anything. We started totally on a practical level because we needed to get this child reading. However, next child comes along. We start just doing homeschool with her. She was an easy student. She loved just everything about school. She was a little girl. If you have homeschooled, I've seen this from other families too. This isn't just me speaking, but girls and boys are very different. A lot of little girls like to fill out the worksheets, sit at the desk, do the whole school thing. A lot of boys till 7 or 8 just want to be outside playing. They don't necessarily want to sit down and do that. And that's not every boy. I have a 5-year-old who's reading right now, but for a lot of kids, there's a difference here. So my next 2 kids were girls and they were super easy. They just wanted to sit and do the lessons. I did have a child, one of the girls, which I've talked about in other videos, so this isn't like revealing anything secret. Naomi has been diagnosed with ADHD. She was not back then, but since has been diagnosed. And she was just a very bouncy child, but she was very intelligent and caught on to things really fast. So she was an easy student. We then had Samuel, who was slower than the girls because he was the little boy who wanted to be outside doing things, but he wasn't a hard child to teach. Then we have Josiah. Now, Josiah is not a difficult child to teach in like discipline issues or doesn't catch on to things. Because of his seizures, we have to go very slow. If I try to teach too much at a time, his brain gets overwhelmed and we can cause a seizure. So a lesson for a normal child of, let's say we're going to learn 5 new letters, I have to break that into like 3 different sessions because I can't do too much brain work at a time, I guess I would say. So all of that to say, I know my child best. When I brought Nathaniel home, he's our oldest, when I brought him home, I knew what types of things he liked to do and didn't like to do. If I saw an idea, because it's a lot easier now that we have the internet, not that we didn't have internet 22 years ago when I started homeschooling, but there weren't as many resources available or ideas. If I now see an idea online, I could have said, oh, Nathaniel would find that really fun. Or I could be like, yeah, that one's not going to happen. I do this a lot with games that I find for the toddlers. There's games that I don't even try with them because I'm like, yeah, that probably won't go over well. And I'm not going to put the time and energy into making the game board or getting out the materials for something I don't think they're going to like. Because I know my child so well, I can see, oh, this would be a book that the kids would like or not. So Josiah, his favorite thing is police officers. If I can find a resource that has to do with police officers, even if it's a little above his level or something I'm trying to like stretch him in, he would do it because he really likes police officers. I know what kind of things he's already done also. So I'm going to talk about our child Josiah, who's 12, who is behind what an average 12-year-old would be. Only because, like I said, we had to slow down his lessons. He does learn very well. But because we are back lessons, he's not on week, whatever this would be in the school year of whatever grade he would be in, I already know what he knows. So I know, let's say we covered capital letters at the start of sentences last week. I'm just making something up. I don't want to reveal too much on here of exactly where each of my children are, because I don't want to hear everybody's comments of, oh, your children should know this or your children should know this, because my children know what they know because of what I've taught them and thought was important at the time. So I'm just going to make up a scenario. I would know last week I covered capital letters at the starts of sentences. But I would also know that last year we worked on knowing whether you should put a period or an exclamation mark or a question mark at the end of a sentence. And so if we get to the lesson in the book that talks about those things, I'll know that I don't need to introduce it as a new concept. It's a review concept. Does that make sense? When you're in the public school system, you're moving from teacher to teacher every year. And the teachers have to figure out, do you already know this or do you not know this? What do I have to teach? They could be upset at you because they're trying to get a review of a concept that you actually haven't learned yet. And so there's a lot of that happens in public schools where the teacher who's working with the student doesn't know what the student actually has been taught and should already have a basic knowledge of, or what hasn't been taught at all. And you can see this happen just if you watch kids every day. If you go to a playground and you see a 3-year-old who's walking the stairs of the playground really well, and it's really high, you might be nervous, but the mom knows, hey, the kid's got this. He does this all the time. Where there's another 3-year-old that if someone, was trying to tell them, to encourage them, hey, let's go higher, it's not safe for them because they haven't fully learned that skill yet. So that happens in learning also. This is something that they need to be pushed a little bit because they have a basic knowledge of this and we just need to expand that, or this is something that we're starting at ground level. Also, with each of my children, I know exactly what their attitude and what they're coming into the day with, their attitude and their physical feeling of the day. So I know personally how many hours Josiah was in bed last night, how many hours he slept, how many times he was up, that type of thing, because I'm the parent and I'm seeing that. If he were in school, I would have to report each day, oh, today could be a really hard day because he really didn't sleep much last night. Where as the parent, I just know that, okay, we're just going to take an easier day today because it was a rough night. We had lots of seizures. I know that, oh, we had a really hard day yesterday because we just had, maybe there was death in the family or plans got changed. That's a big thing for Josiah, that if plans get changed, let's say we're having someone over and they're sick and they can't come, it really messes him up that we're doing something different than we had planned. And that could throw him off for a few days. And to have to explain to the teacher, this is going to be a little hard for him and this is why he's acting this way. It's not because he's being disobedient. It's not because of this. I'm not saying Josiah is never disobedient, but I can just go with the flow because I know why and what's happening instead of having to explain that to somebody. I know when Josiah is just having a hard time seizure-wise, because I see him all the time. I see these things happening. We had this situation happen just this week when we went to physical therapy. He was working really hard on his exercises. He was doing so good listening to the physical therapist who was explaining what he should be doing, and he was working really hard to do those exercises. And I suddenly could tell that he was having trouble. And I stood up and started to deal with the situation before the physical therapist was fully aware of what happened, because she had never seen one of his seizures before, which I'm not blaming her. She did great, and she helped me help him with the recovery of the seizure. So this is nothing against her. She did awesome. But because I know him, I saw the sign that, oh, he's going into a seizure, and I was able to get him to a safe place. If I hadn't been there, he may have taken a fall because she wasn't aware of what was going on at that moment. And again, she did a great job in the situation. But think about it when your child is at school. Yes, a child like Josiah would probably have a one-on-one because they would need to make sure that he was safe during seizures. But what if that one-on-one has to use the bathroom? What if that one-on-one is sick and so they have someone replacing them? They can't give Josiah the full care they need when they're not the one who spends time with them all the time and can watch what those cues are, because he has a couple different kinds of seizures, and they over time change the presentation of how they come out. So for all of those reasons, it is a better educationally for him to stay home because I can do it. It's also better physically for him because I can make sure that he is in a safe place. The other part of that question was, because we have so many needs in our family, maybe it would just be better that he can go to somebody who's devoted to just taking care of his needs. And yes, we do have needs in our family, but the needs in our family are not huge. So like this person mentioned, Mark going to a doctor's appointment. Well, when Mark goes to a doctor's appointment, a lot of times we all go along and then we make a day of doing an activity near that appointment if it's an appointment that's far away. So we actually use it as a time to be able to do a field trip or something that would be beneficial and fun for our family. There would be a lot of family time that would be missed if we did not home educate, because with Josiah, the 12-year-old, there are times that he is very seizure-y and he isn't as much a part of the family activity. So like he might have been seizure-y and he lays down for a nap. So therefore he's not playing the game that we're all playing together. But because I don't have to then put him on the bus the next morning at 8 o'clock, we can then do something with him the next day. Does that make sense? And also with my husband's condition, my Mark has more energy in the morning. So being that he's home with us, he can be a big part of all the things that we're doing in the morning. And if he's having a rough time in the evening, the kids haven't missed time with daddy. If they were in school and they were getting home, let's say 2:30, 3 o'clock, whatever time people get home near you, Mark is already having a hard time by that time of day. Not that Mark's not available or anything, but he's not able to give his best to the kids at that time of evening. Some people are morning people, some people are night people. The kids would miss a lot not being able to be here with us, and we would miss a huge part of our family dynamic by not having certain kids here. Also, kids being in a home where there are special needs going on. And again, I've talked about Josiah a lot in this video, but we have other kids who have a variety of needs, just as I'm sure you have kids with a variety of needs. And so learning to help a baby with getting their food or not getting certain foods is very beneficial of learning like child development and child psychology and all of that. Like, why does this child like this toy? Because my kids are actively playing with their baby brother every day, who isn't special needs in any way. I'm using the terms people use because people understand what I'm talking about, but I don't think they're necessarily the best terms. But them being able to see what the baby plays with, how he develops, that's going to help them in their future in dealing with their own children. When a child is in a home where they have a special needs sibling or a special needs parent, they realize a lot of how things can be difficult for somebody. They learn a lot of empathy. They're able to react to situations without like a lot of fear. our kids see seizures regularly in our home, and they've come to understand what it means. And so when it happens, they're able to say, what can I do to help? And not like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. We've had friends come over, for our first time. They know that we have seizures, and they're kind of like, I don't know what I would do if there was a situation, which if you're watching this and you're one of our friends, we kind of know what we're doing and we'll ask if we need help. But in a lot of times, if you're out on the street and you see somebody with a medical crisis, a lot of people will freeze up. I don't know what to do in this situation. Where my kids are more like, let's make sure this person's comfortable, because they know what it's like to have all eyes on you and nobody really helping, because they see that happen. And so, it's teaching the other kids empathy. But also, if we were to send Josiah away, and again, if it was like, if I thought it was for the best, I wouldn't keep him home just to keep him home. But when you're taking care of that special needs child, your other children are seeing that you're willing to give of yourself. Yes, we all give for our children in different ways, but sometimes they don't see it because it looks like just easy, like I'm cooking a meal for everybody. If I had a child who needed special meals, like let's say that I had to make like blends to put in a feeding tube, the kids would see, okay, mommy's not just making the meal and letting me eat some of it. She's actually going out of her way to take care of somebody in a very special way. And it helps them to understand that that's really important too. We all need each other for different reasons. We are not meant to be totally independent people. I'm not saying that we should just sit back and let other people take care of us. Not that kind of dependency. I'm saying that we all, as people, God made us to be interconnected. And so we're supposed to be part of a church family. We're supposed to be part of a physical family. And we're supposed to be helping each other in ways. And so showing our kids that we will selflessly give to somebody else, I think can be seen a little bit more in a home with a special needs child. Again, I'm not saying that you don't give of yourself to your regular kids, but I'm saying that I think it's seen more when there's something that is above and beyond what you're doing for the other children in the household. So I hope that answers the question. I just wanted people to know that it's important for mom and dad to be the one who is most intimately involved with your child, to know the ins and outs. I do not want to have to hear from the daycare or the school, like for Josiah in the school case, for them to have to write down, so he had 3 seizures today and here's what we had to do for the seizures. Because I can't give him the best care possible if he has different caregivers all the time. But it also helps educationally that I know what he's learning. I know what we've been through that day. And so I hope that this was an encouragement to somebody who might be a caregiving parent, that yes, you can educate your child. There are a lot of resources out there. And I am getting help from those who have been trained in these things, like his physical therapy. We went to physical therapy together and I was given ideas of things that I could work on with him here at home. But when he had the seizure, I was there to witness it and to help him. So we do go to doctors. We do go to therapies. We go get the necessary bracing and things that he needs. I'm not against specialized help, but I feel like it's very important that I am part of that specialized help, and to send him off to school every day, I am not part of that specialized help, and he therefore would not be getting the full educational and physical help that Josiah Cowperthwaite especially needs. I want him to get a specialized education, and the best way to do that is for his education to be maintained by one person who's getting the help to help that one child. So hope that makes sense. We'll see you guys next time on Herding Little Cows to the glory of God.